Hello everyone, the Vibe Kage here. I have work roughly at 1, so I apologize. So this will be relatively a one try, one shot going at this attempt. Like, it's part 2, don't worry. And there'll be more parts to it. It just took me forever to actually find photos of a female Todoroki and a female Dabi that matched this. So, because I could not find any version of Wolverine Deku that I liked, so I'm just going with Phoenix Force Wolverine. And yeah, now where I last left off, Deku had taken Dabi into their mother's room, where he proceeded to heal her. They all had a heart-to-heart conversation, and Toya had asked her mother to keep, her being alive a secret. She doesn't know how to feel right now, due to the fact that, she still hates her father and she wants to destroy him. But talking with Izuku, or just let alone Izuku's presence, it has this weird effect on her that just makes her calmer and not be as destructive as she normally would be. Which, Deku chuckles, and Ray, she just smiles as she thanks Deku by giving him a kiss on the cheek and saying for him to protect her daughters, both Toya and Shota. Or wait, I named her. I gave her another name, didn't I? Oof, I already forgot. I think it was Yukina, no? Anyway, I'm gonna just say Todoroki for right now, and I'll refer to Endeavor as Endeavor, because I don't remember and I don't have the time to look it up right now. So, going on with this, one of the main characters, but it's mostly because we're not really going to be focusing on her. Now, as Izuku had healed Dabi, and the two, they're off in their own little ventures. As Ingenium, he has also been renewed. Ida, he feels terrified. A lot of Class 1A is on the fence of, he's on Ida. Well, actually, UA in general. And, of course, they are terrified of what Izuku has become. Now, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Because Melissa Shield is adamant with All Might about, meeting Izuku, but he has to bring it to her that he has absolutely no idea where the hell the boy is. Which, she gets mad at him. How the hell did you lose that thing? He's not human anymore. Whatever's inside of him is stronger than the sun itself, Uncle Mike. You don't get it. The power within him, it's like a sun and a black hole fucked and had a child that is 10 times as worse as that. As, All Might is looking at his niece and he's just like, language, my child. Dear God. Look, if you say it's true, then I believe we're fine. Young Midoriya was my chosen successor for One For All. Which Melissa looks at him pissed off, and go like, meh. Anyway. Although, she absolutely does not leave UA's premise and is kind of forcing herself to stay there. Nezu, damn motherfucker, where does my remote keep on falling? Nezu puts her up, or puts up with her in another sense, in a close to the school apartment. There's a hero that monitors her every now and then, as All Might's request, but, unless Izuku says he wants to meet her, they can't really do shit. And they're not going to force Izuku, because they're still terrified of him. Now, granted, he's not shown up for 2 weeks. Nobody knew what that was, but, 2 weeks later, Deku casually walks in, as he goes to Nezu and he's just saying, hey, Nez, I gotta talk to you. As Nezu is taken back. This is when President Mike is saying, hey, you can't be so formal with the principal. I go like, shut up, bub. As President's just like, the fuck? Is, Midnight, she quivers because she's just like, oh, so manly, so youthful, so bold. I gotta stop on that one. Anyway, as I guess, oh, Nezu and Izuku talk as he then lists off the various abilities that he had gained thanks to the Phoenix Force. And I know I said for him to master them, he had to die over and over again. And he did do that over the time skip. I just don't feel like explaining the fact that he would stab himself in his own heart to die over and over and over again. Which sucks. It was like his form of meditation. He would bring out his flaming claws and stab himself in the chest. And just kind of sit there in his room for an hour. Take deep breaths once the flames had died out as, he gets more mastery and control. He explains to Nezu that not only can his fire burn, heal, cut, he also gained the added ability of flight. He starts levitating, and then he shows off telekinesis. He says, oh, but there's more. As then, from his eyes that are already glowing with the flames of the Phoenix Force, begin to shoot out beams that, controlled and focused. Oh, that is the siren that every Monday, once it's noon, it will sound for like a minute. And in case you're wondering what that is, don't worry, I'm fine. I don't know, but I'll look at it later. Anyway, where was I going with this? Yes, Izuku, he is showing off pretty much all of his special abilities, not just the Ice Blast. I will watch that later, I promise you. As Izuku shows Nezu all of his abilities, not just the flame control, healing, cutting up things, telekinesis, laser eyes. He explains that his body, like his bones, he would refer to them similar to, steel. That gives him added durability. And then he turns into a golden metallic flaming avatar that looks like the Wolverine armor, which surprises Nezu, which, burning fire wings come out of him that will take the shape of actual feathers, but are still flames. As he's telling Nezu, yeah, I don't need a costume anymore. As Nezu just saying, Izuku, why are you telling me all this? It's because you're the only person I trusted to keep all these secrets. I know we're gonna have to explain some things, but armor, nah. Flame claws, inevitable. Flight, we'll just explain to really good, physical strength, and I'm just jumping really, really high. Flames of healing, because Phoenix, I don't know. Telekinesis, I'm gonna try my best to hide or explain just by controlled heat. And rather than using actual fire, I heated up the atoms and forced him away, simulating telekinesis without actually doing anything. Granted, if someone comes to and argues that they didn't feel any heat, that might be a little complicated to explain. But hopefully that never happened, so we should be fine. So where else was I going with this? Shit. There were the other powers I had. Oh, right. He then, which this surprises Nezu, creates an actual miniature Phoenix Firebird, which, it seems to show sentience. Or at least a will of its own that would be to obey Deku's command. Which, he asks Nezu, what should he name it? Which I'll let you guys comment down below. But you guys have to think of a Nezu answer for a Phoenix name. So, let us continue on with this. As Izuku, he would look at Nezu, was just boundfounded, just in awe of all these abilities. As, Izuku powers down, his hair goes back to normal, and to his surprise, it's a thick, flowing black hair, and yeah, there's no beard. No, clean cut. Deku's hair is no longer green. And what was the other thing I was gonna say? Ah, yes. You know, Nezu asks him if his chest still has that phoenix mark. As you know, he lifts up his shirt to show, indeed, yes, the phoenix is kind of a permanent thing, Nezu. As Nezu's just saying, I see. I apologize for asking again, but thank you. Thank you for telling me everything. By the way, I believe I should tell you this before All Might has a chance to. As, you know, Izuku, he's just like, yeah, I thought All Might. Not really my issue anymore. As Nezu looks confused, as, what do you mean? As, you know, Izuku says, I don't have one for all. He should probably just focus on Todoroki. As, you know, Nezu's confused. I thought you were quite familiar with with the young female. Ah! I thought you were quite familiar with the young. Ah! I thought you were quite familiar with the young Miss Todoroki. I don't know why I keep done fucking that up. But fuck! Anyway, as, you know, Deku's just like, well, I mean, I have nothing against her. As, you know, Nezu tilts his head again. Do you have anything against anyone here at all? I believe you are aware that young Ida is still here. Does that bother you by any chance? As Izuku's just saying, well, I already stabbed him in the back and healed him, but I think it's just okay. As Nezu just nods, so you won't be cutting anyone, will you? As Izuku just rolls his, like, shrugs his shoulders, and he says, if they make me mad, I might. I don't really see a need, as, you know, to surprise everyone even more, by everyone, you, Nezu. Okay. Now, Deku would pull out a special package of a box with a green lid. You know, there's a leaf on it that symbolizes the Canadian flag, but is green. You know, he opens it. A few whiffs later, Nezu's just like, is that? As, you know, Izuku lights it. Takes a few hits. As then, you know, he exhales as he says, this is one of the few ways you'll be able to keep my flames, you know, from being a constant. As, you know, what? Yeah, he doesn't have perfect control, which is why he wasn't here. He found out that this stuff, yeah, it's the best thing you can do. Due to it being, even if he just can't burn it out of his system like he can with other drug suppressants. And quirk suppressing materials and bracelets melt. They don't really seem to work on whatever my power is. I don't know. I kind of want to call it the Phoenix Force, but at the same time, I don't like it anymore. It's just power. It's an entity that is now me. I don't know how to feel about that, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you, Nezu. It's kind of confusing. As, you know, Deku scratches the back of his head as, you know, he takes a deep drag. And then he looks at his, you know, doobie as he's saying, this is also one of those things that help deal with the headaches that came from this. As Nezu's just saying, headaches? Well, if you get shot by a giant flaming bird from space as you're dying, and then you get a whole new list of abilities, but no one to explain them to you, how do you feel? Nezu kind of just shakes his head and he's like, fair point, I understand that. And I turned British, damn. As Nezu and Izuku, you know, 20 minutes later, Like, everyone's just like, you smell something? You know, Class 1A and 1B, they're like, yo, what's that smell? As, you know, Aizawa takes a whiff, and he's just like, it smells like Miss Joke's house. As, you know, he's thinking, is Joke here? Wait, why would she be doing this here? As, you know, everyone's just like, huh? As he's just saying, mind your business. As, you know, everyone here is running. As they turn out, the teachers run out. And, of course, Ectoplasm tells Aizawa, you know, there's a lot of smoke coming from Nezu's room, but no one can get in. As they're all rushing, but they don't feel heat. But, you know, the closer they get to the room, the stronger the smell and the odor. As, you know, this is, I guess the best way you can say Nezu and Deku had hotboxed his office. I'm not gonna lie to you. Nezu, of course, tried to convince Deku to put it out until Deku told him, you just gotta try it. It's called the Tree of Might. As Nezu just tilts his head, as, you know, he takes a few hits and he's just like, oh my. Oh my, this is refreshing. I'm normally a Northern Lights person myself, but dear God. He's taking a few hits as he's just like, what are the strain name? Its parents. As, you know, Deku says, well, one is called the Tree of Clithoth, as Nezu's just like, The other one's called the Troco Tree fruit, as I'm not too familiar with it, but it becomes the Tree of Might, and I'm not gonna lie to you. This is more might than all might. As Nezu's just like, indeed. As Izuku just pulls out another one. As Nezu's just like, what are you doing? I mean, we're still going to be passing it around, but that way everyone still has one. As Nezu's just like, I see. You're quite considerate, aren't you, Izuku? As, you know, he's just saying, of course, Nez, you're my bud. As, you know, they proceed to just talk about school stuff and all these tests and all. You know, Deku plays a little bit of therapist with Nezu. Nezu explains some of the experiments that happened to him, as this triggers the memories of Logan inside of Deku. You know, he grabs his head during this as, you know, Nezu's just like, are you coming down? No, just some memories of previous people came with this. It's weird. It's mimicking how One For All was, in a sense. Where I would see previous users, but I'm getting the memories of those who have bonded with the Phoenix Force. You know, he's confused, as he's saying, who was it? The most recent one. Jimmy Logan. His hero name was Wolverine. It was in his old age, and his mutant power, you know, it stopped being as beneficial to himself. He was experimented on. Originally, he just had a form of super regeneration and bone claws. But then they made him go through this experimentation that not only enhanced his strength and healing factor, but turned his bones into metal by coating it, liquefying metal, the space metal, adding it into him, giving him metal claws as well. Eventually, this is what led him to be poisoned by it, since his regeneration could no longer fight the animadium poisoning his own bloodstream. As Nezu's just like, heavy, man. And Deku's just like, right? You know, the Phoenix Force pretty much, gave him power past his prime. Couldn't turn that down. As, you know, Nezu's just asking him, so there are other users? Yeah. One of them was a Jean Grey one. That's where that telekinesis thing adapted into itself. The eye beams is from a guy named Scott Summers. The metal skin is from a guy named Colossus. There are two other people who I haven't fully mastered yet. But that's why I do this special herb, my guy. It's to, help the training go easier. I heal fast, yeah, but it's still a pain in the neck, man. Especially that one girl, Magic. Her weird portals after him. I'm confused so much. And Neymar's not any better, waterbending bastard. What is he? Damn it, he's like Aquaman. Nezu's just like, who's Aquaman? As, Izuku just tilts his head up and he's just like, wait, how do I know about Aquaman? As then, in a very typical Logan voice, he just says, wait. As Nezu just tilts his head, saying, what? As Izuku just shakes his head, it's nothing. I'm gonna light another one. As Nezu's just saying, woohoo! His paws are up and then he just falls asleep. As Izuku just, sees Nezu curled up in a ball. He takes a photo, saves it. He's got to keep this in handy for when, some shit goes wrong and he needs the Nezu escape card. So, anyway, as this is when the teachers would be knocking and trying to open the door. So Izuku's just like, oh, I have to get a glass. So, he just casually unlocks the door and opens it, allowing the smoke to kind of just the whole halls of UA. The whole teachers are coughing, clouding up as, I was just like, oh my god, joke, why did you do this with Nezu? I thought you were doing this as a joke. I thought the plan was to do this during summer. Like, you could have at least invited me. And, Izuku's just looking at Aizawa. It's just like, I did not know you partaked. I will invite you next time. Yes, Aizawa, coughing, and his eyes are now red for a completely different reason. He sees Izuku. He's confused as fuck. Wait, Izuku? What are you? And he's just like, yeah, I needed to train my quirk a bit more before I was safe to come to people. Let's go to the cafeteria. As, all the teachers there all agree. This is when Nezu decides to, out of fucking nowhere, pop out of Aizawa's scarf. And he's saying, I would like some cheese. As, he then almost falls to the ground before, Izuku with telekinesis just having him float. As, he brings him over and has Nezu on his shoulder. As Nezu's just like, that was fun. Everyone's kind of confused as they're like, wait, did you just, as Deku's just like, I can explain my powers later. And in case you're wondering, what about everything? Don't worry about it. I'm getting to it as we're going forward. Nane? I don't know who this is. Huh. This is how porn stars late pipe lasts long. I feel like my stamina of an hour is fine enough. Not to like toot my own horn, but like an hour, man. I feel like I am decently fine with like lasting an hour, needing roughly 10 minutes to recharge, and then going for another one, and then just going to sleep. I feel like that is fine. Granted, second round would last either 30 to 45 minutes, but that is beyond the point, and I'm not going to remove that because that's actually pretty fucking funny. And like I said, I have no idea who the fuck that was. I did not have that number saved, and that's just funny. I'm not gonna lie to you. So no, pretty much all the faculty that was trying to save Nezu, they're all walking towards the cafeteria. As the teachers who weren't there see them, all mobbing towards the cafeteria. As they see a man holding Nezu, and he looks unconscious, and everyone's just following. They're all thinking, wait, what happened to Nezu? It's just, Nezu starts giggling as he's just saying, we're going to get cheese. As, he then proceeds to seemingly fall asleep on Izuku again. As, Izuku's just chuckling to himself. Eventually, all the other classes are there. Class 1A stops Aizawa. And says, Aizawa, what do we do? As he's just like, Izuku's just saying, hey, just play one of those videos. Hey, I was gonna do that to take a nap, but I like that idea. So, Izuku decides to, step in with Aizawa and Nezu. He tells the other people to go get cheese for Nezu, save him some cheeses. They all get themselves some food. As Nezu's just like, yay, cheese. And he falls back asleep. Everyone's just kind of confused on what's up with Nezu and Aizawa. Who is this guy and why is the smell so much stronger now? As, Ida was about to stand up because he's about to say, wait, is that he tries it and he can't move. His body is just like petrified. Everyone tries to, move at some point when Ida says he can't move. As, Aizawa was just like, I'll explain that later. You guys will watch this video. That's just me yawning, not me yawning as Aizawa. As, he yawns as he says, you're going to watch this video while me, Nezu, and, Izuku here, he pats his back, go get some food at the cafeteria real quick. After that, we'll come back and then we'll do some hero training. Right? And, Nezu just like, yay! Training! As, he then looks at the class of 1A and he's saying, I have a fun one. Why don't we make them test out their skills against Izuku here? As, oh shit, Bakugo smiles. Of course, Izuku's looking around and he sees that, Todoroki's not there. Before he can even ask, as I was just saying, apparently there was something with, her mother being released today. So, yeah, as Deku chuckles to himself, he's just like, right, I forgot about that. He realizes that, I wonder, he thinks to himself if Dabi was watching, or Toya, if Toya was watching, or, he then thinks, were the flowers that he sent Ray last week still there, still good, or did they have his name still, or did she throw away the card? Ooh, that'd be kind of awkward to see that. Would it? I mean, Todoroki's already mentioned about her mother ever so slightly, but for Izuku to send her flowers and not go to school for 2 weeks, that'd be kind of weird. This is when they call out to Izuku as he looks up and he's just like, oh, what? Oh, right. I'm not trying to yawn, so I do apologize for that, but I cannot fight it. So, sorry, not sorry. And Fook. Anyway, Izuku decides to have a little bit more fun with the classroom. As, he says, the thing that kind of swan-dived into his body from outer space, it gave him more than just, some fire and some claws. One of which is what's keeping them from moving. They don't have, Deku smiles, as he says, they don't have enough power to step up to me. As, he then lets them go. And this is when Bakugo jumps out of his seat like a monkey. So, he's saying, oh yeah! He's launching a few explosions. As then Deku's eyes glow with the phoenix flames going around the iris. Well, not the iris, outside of the eyes. As he's just saying, hey, watch the video like a good Pomeranian, and I'll bring you back a treat. As, he walks away like a savage. You know, I really hate the fact that I have to go to work. So... Mm. Nah, I'm gonna continue for like another 10 minutes. 10 minutes more. Yeah. 10 minutes perfect. Anyway, Izuku, him and Aizawa and Nezu, they go to the cafeteria. Lunch Rush was hectically making up food for what seems like an army of 50, despite only being 20 teachers. And then Izuku, showing up, decides to kind of become his own army of 90 people in one. So he ate a lot. Nezu, he had a 5-pound wheel of cheese to himself, which he got halfway through and then just kind of went into a cheese coma, just sleeping, which, Izuku took a photo, Midnight took a photo, everyone had a photo of Nezu sleeping on a wheel of cheese, which, you know, it got really adorable when Nezu just yawned, and when he put his head back down, his mouth was still open. So, when his mouth landed on the cheese, and he sniffed it, he started to nibble in it with his sleep, which, everyone's just like, oh, he's eating in his sleep. As they're like, oh god, this evidence that they have, they're like, they're like, we're all getting an extra, like, weekend of pay, is like what they're thinking. Nezu's just like, oh my gosh, have they even tried and blackmailed me? I'm gonna put them through some hell. As Mizuku's just like, this is just so cool. Now, we are going, no, we're not going, my bad, I was yawning again. I am really out of it. I do love this JoJo song. Anyway, going back to the story, Izuku decides, that since he's going to be fighting Class 1A, he might as well show off some of his abilities. So the abilities that he wants to show off, something to be a little bit more shitty or shit on them. He spreads out his flaming wings and decides to, fly upwards, flaming, and, just from the sky, he decides, pretty kind of, I'm not lying to you, it's like he's snipering them out with his laser beams from his eyes. Not Aizawa, Aoyama, he tried to use his naval laser, but, oh dear god, that just damn near shoot a hole through this man's stomach. As, if it wasn't for Izuku, the fact that he blunk and ending the beam, it would have just kept on shooting through. It already had broken the man's, belt. As, yeah. Uraraka, she tried to be cool and jump up in the air at zero gravity, thinking she can touch Izuku. Which, he just stuck out his hand and she couldn't move. As, Izuku's just like, I think it's time to go bowling. As she's like, when she jumped up, she did that cannonball motion to make it easier for herself. Is, she can't move out of this. She's just like, no. As, Deku's just shaking his head because this man's still blitzed. So, he's looking at, the people down below him. As he winds back his arm, throws Uraraka the bowling ball, and proceeds to take out... Oh, recording. It was me, brother. Don't worry. Yes. If I was doing something, I don't know if y'all heard him. But, yeah. I'm gonna pause this so I can get a drink real quick. I'm back. Sorry about that. Fruit Punch Gatorade. Yeah. Gatorade, sponsor me. I'll gladly be a whore for you. That didn't sound right. I will gladly, hype up your shit for you if you pay me money. That sounds much more better than me saying I'll be a whore for Gatorade. What would I be a whore for? Kit Kats. Not gonna lie, I love Kit Kats. Payday good too. Nah, I wouldn't whore myself out for Payday. Oh shit. I'm still recording. My bad, y'all. What is... Where was I going with this shit? Deku, he threw the bowling ball, and the people he took out were the, long-range fighters. So, besides Aoyama, who, already on the ground in pain from overusing his quirk, he took out Momo, Seto, Mina, and Tsuyu, and Aoyama. Which, it did not look pretty. Uraraka, they were going why can't we move? It was Deku saying, remember in the classroom, as, he yeeted the bitch towards them, and just like bowling balls, bowling pins, they scattered once Uraraka went right through them. Of course, Bakugo's just saying, I got you now, as he attempts a howitzer impact. It lands, so he thinks, as, the smoke clears and Deku is in his, Phoenix Metal Wolverine form, as Bakugo's eyes widen because, he's still on the, in the air and he's not moving. He's just like, my quirk is explosion, not float. As, Izuku's just smiling as he's saying, I know. The distortion of voice kind of confused, Bakugo for a little bit, as Izuku would just pull back his fist, and proceed to use Bakugo as a body bag for the next 3 minutes, as Bakugo could not move from his confinement in midair. Everyone just kind of felt bad for him at this point, because, Deku, despite him breaking Bakugo with each punch, the flames would heal him afterwards, but not all the way. It would be, you would take 100% of the damage, the flames burn you, and then heal you 80% of all pain. And then he'd proceed to punch you. And that would be what the considering was for 3 minutes. Izuku, he has Bakugo if he's had enough. He's jabbing at the air at this point. Casually just doing a boxer's jump, jumping around. As, Bakugo, barely conscious, despite being healed over, that was one painful ass whooping that his body was not used to. And in case you're wondering, does this not help Bakugo long term with his body? Yes, no, it not really in the right way, because it's not healing properly. It's more like an instantaneous heal, to before there was damage. But he still remembers the damage. That's just pretty much the thing. He remembers the ass whooping. The pain is still there. So, Izuku decides to, end Bakugo with a simple karate chop to the forehead. And when I mean karate chop to the forehead, I mean when Saitama chopped Speedasonic Sound, when Saitama was looking for a villain to defeat, and, he kind of was ignoring everyone else, and it looked kind of weird, but yeah! He's just saying, what do you mean? I'm right here. Kya! Chop! And then Bakugo, crater in the ground. Everyone else in Class 1A is just, looking at Izuku. He lands, he pulls out a box, the same box, he lights it again. And one masterful toke, it's already down to, a roach, as he lets it fall, and just blows the smoke out, and proceeds, fall back. They thinking he's gonna lay on the ground. Nope, the man just proceeds to float in the air, and, kind of takes a nap, flying. As I was just man, I wish I could take a nap while flying in the air. And Deku just tilts his head, and he's just best I can do is just, have you float while you're napping, but I'd have to be awake. Which I don't mind, but it's just, I get 2 tests. I don't have to take, at least a B grade. So as I was just fair enough. As, we'll schedule that for later, though. And as I was just saying, fair enough. So yeah, that's fun. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, when things get more fun, is shortly after this, because there is a situation that happens that normally wouldn't happen, but due to a double cross between the Shisaikai and a small organization of, people. They only had one leader, but their leader was currently doing a surgery that would give him multiple quirks, so yeah. Cool beans. I'm gonna pause it. And then I'm back, sorry. I'm pretty much having to finish this up. I'm wrapping it up anyway. As, their head honcho was pretty much, under the League of Villains getting multiple quirks done. As, Chimera had killed the bodyguard and decided to take the little girl because he didn't agree with how Chisaki wanted to rule an empire. He didn't like the fact that he was planning to remove what made him strong, what made him, granted it put him through hell, but it's also what made him as strong as he is. So, he didn't like it. He also hated the fact at how he was treating the little girl, so he decides to kidnap Eri, which, yeah. He kills the 3 guys who Tamaki would have fought in the overhaul raid arc. I don't remember their names, but the guy who had larceny, the guy who could eat, and then the guy with the crystallization. All 3 of them died. The man just launched a Cero blast at them, and if you don't think he launched a Cero, then you should see Heroes Rising. Is it Heroes Rising or is it 2 Heroes? I don't care anymore. Continuing on with the story, they pretty much finesse Eri, as, it ends with Deku meeting that same redhead because, Dabi, she has decided, under the guise of League of Villains, she will poach members from the League of Villains to join Izuku in a revolutionary way for people to use their quirks. Since, he saw how mutant kind was thanks to Logan's memories, and he wants to base something similar and kind of make it more balanced overall with, since here, it's the other way around with, powers being the majority. But he understands not everyone is accepted still because of their powers. So, Izuku in himself is thinking to open a school for this. Needing this, he would need people to help fund them. They would have to build their own organization as well. This would also be not just a school, but their own, you graduate from here, you're pretty much part of this hero association itself. His own X-Men, if you will. And that is the best way I can leave this off, because 20 minutes till work. Sayonara. I love you. I'll be back later.